Initiating program Coriander Society Adventures. User access Beatdown Boulevard. User access Ninja Man Matt. User access Pods of War. Administrator Tormented by Gnomes. Commence program.
Welcome back, everybody, to Coriander Society Adventures. If you're just joining us, this is a tale of 3 world-hopping heroes from different dimensions, different planes of existence, traveling across the multiverse, righting wrongs, causing trouble, delving into the mysteries of apocalyptic
Wronging
evils that
rights.
lurk right at the edge. Wronging rights, yeah, that happens sometimes too. Not gonna lie. I'm tormented by gnomes. Got Beatdown Boulevard.
I just realized wronging rights. You.
I can't say everything we've done has been perfect.
Way to mess up the intro, you guys.
My apologies. It was really good.
Matt, when you're running on a 10-second delay, you have to extend the delay until the end of the intro.
I was reacting to Beatdown, reacting to you.
Reactions happen after that. You know what? Never mind. It's fine.
I'm so sorry. You're correct.
Yes.
It was my fault.
Jail for Matt. Jail for 10,000 years.
I'll give myself a disadvantage for this. That was really bad. My
Nice.
apologies.
No. You're fine. When we last left our heroes, they were in the sci-fi world of Dragun amongst the Voski, a group of psionic knights who run around in mechas fighting against the dragons that have invaded their world. Our heroes are on a quest to find technology that can save Florence Giotto back in their world of Northport. Florence can only be saved by the shadow technology of the Vignar, assassins who once served a dragon god of death, Falazur. After a previous adventure, John Carmichael convinced them that all along they'd actually served Chronepsis, the Silent Watcher, dragon god of death and judgment. After he convinced them that this was the case, they all vanished, completely gone, because Chronepsis, the Silent Watcher, does not intervene in anything. And so the Vignar faded from the political landscape, never to be seen until hopefully soon. Our heroes... Hopefully soon. I make no promises. After getting attacked and ambushed and transferring hands several times by AI and rebels and dragons, our heroes are in this psychic city where the Prince Casimir Voski, owed John a favor, and therefore let our heroes talk to the seers, the psychic prophets who float in the center of the city, projecting their minds across possible infinite futures to try to select different courses of action. This is the only hope that the Voski people have against the magically powerful dragons or the superintelligence of the Exarchate. So these seers, they spend all their time floating around in this thing connected to a giant machine, combining their brains to foresee the future. And essentially, our heroes got a little bit of time on the server to ask one question. When they asked that question, where can we find the Vignar? A few things happened. First off, the seer that they were closest to suddenly aged 10,000 years, withered away, and died, shriveling into dust.
Whoa.
Press F in chat, please. That was real sad.
Chat.
The rest of the Voski nearby were barely even perturbed. They were saddened, but this is something that has happened in the last 200 years. This is a known phenomenon.
That's something that's happened before?
Yeah. This is not the first time this has happened. This has happened before. That's why they were kind of like, yeah.
Oh, well.
Yes, the monster thing that
What an
ages people.
inconvenience.
Someone just ages 10,000 years, on occasion that does tend to happen,
And it was because he looked into the future and saw something, right?
Right. There are certain paths in the future. If you try to expand your psychic vision beyond this solar system or beyond certain time aspects of this world, then your future gets eaten. 10,000 years of your future gets eaten. Your time is devoured and you shrivel up and die.
Is it because he was following the line of thought that if we went up into space, is that why he went into space and that's when
that piece of information was not part of your end product? Because the thing is, when the Voski seers send out their minds, they traverse all sorts of different possible futures, not all of which pan out. It's kind of like Doctor Strange sitting there going,
yeah, totally.
And so sometimes they happen to just look in that direction. They're following a thread that leads off there.
Specifically that one, it was as part of that one of the many possibilities led
now,
there.
I will say certain topics are safer than others. There's some things where, like, if they focus just on these topics, then if it's really, really localized to the planet, it doesn't tend to be a problem. But for some reason, asking where they could find the Vignar, one of them came across a bad future, had 10,000 years devoured, shriveled into dust.
Now, this is still extremely rare. This doesn't just happen like on the regular, I would assume.
It happens every few years.
How many seers do they have? Are they running out? Do they constantly get new seers?
Yeah, children with exceptional psionic potential are sort of like, congratulations, you're going to live in a
There's
box.
There's a seer boot camp or like a...
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of the most important duties. If they have certain levels of Esper, if they have certain Esper levels detected amongst them as a child, they're not part of your family anymore. You know, they're going to seer camp. They're going to be part of the giant psychic supercomputer.
No.
Because they have to be replaced over the years because they keep shriveling up and dying.
Are there people that hide their seer powers?
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's fascinating, and probably.
There has to be.
Has
Every
to be.
single book series that has things like this always has the renegades who want to go into
How do you...
That's why there's renegades, mate. They all go into hiding because they're freaking
Hang on,
big
adding
seers.
lore.
No, but that seriously makes sense, though.
No, it does make sense, except for the fact that how do you tell if somebody's going to be a seer? The seers foretell that you're going to be a seer, and so you have to escape from this psychic hive mind. I think the only way you'd be able to pull it off is with some advanced stealth, magical technology, something like that, or a Minority Report thing, if the seers
you know what?
themselves were in on it.
I bet you that there's a secret group inside of the Voski capital that has figured out a way. Like maybe somebody got injured and they realized it like blocked them. They're like, oh yeah, the seer said you were a seer or you were going to be. It's like, oh, they don't test positive. What? We were wrong, I guess. And they found out that if you end up performing like an operation where you sever some kind of like connector,
A specific
like,
nerve.
then it like either cuts you off from your Esper powers or it like dampens them or something like that. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Or what if it's like the opposite of the spice, where the spice in Dune, you take it to advance like your perception, but there's a substance you can take that hides you from perception. And it's obviously extremely controlled because the principalities need to be able to sense everybody. All right, this is good. This is good. Side thread generated.
Why didn't we talk about this during Blitzball time?
Because it didn't come up until now. So one of the things you learned, John learned this by using a premonitory vision of his own. And he kind of felt the tug of the thing at the edge of the system. But essentially you learned that surrounding your star system, the Lacunus star system, is an entity that eats time. You don't know a whole lot more about it. I will also reiterate that this planet was a research facility for a giant interstellar empire. They were messing with time and with different dimensions. They successfully opened a dimensional portal to another world, which is where the dragons came through. But when they were messing with time, that's when the entire solar system got frozen for 10,000 years. They lost contact with the rest of the galaxy. So it's always sort of just been that it's always been odd, right? That they were doing one experiment on this planet and it just happened to include their whole star system. Maybe it's just got a huge radius and there's nothing super close by because it's just space after that, right? Maybe it has a radius of a light year or something like that. And so everything within 1 light year was included. But John has seen that there is an entity at the edge of the solar system, and he knows that it eats time. He knows it's huge. Any other questions about that based on the information that you have available?
About that specifically, no. Although I likely am going to have a lot of questions later on.
Mm-hmm.
I had a different question that I can wait until you're done with your explanations before I inquire.
All right. This is, again, to read Beatdown in to make sure that he's fully armed and operational.
Exactly.
This is what this... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm pretty good. I think I'm caught up.
Awesome. So you basically know that the Seers have seen 2 futures where you can find the Vignar?
Yes. I just don't remember the contents of them.
All right. I will deliver that real quick.
Okay.
I'm not gonna. If you want to read the whole, if you want to hear the whole monologue, just go back and watch the previous episode. Essentially, they have located two places in space rather than in time. Because if you can get to one of these places, your future intersects with the Vignar. That's what they're able to see. Because the Vignar are largely hidden from their sight. And the Vignar have been hidden from their sight almost the whole time. But as soon as they started serving Chronepsis, they were completely hidden from their sight. The two places that they see this intersection. One is a place that they can't see anymore. And John thinks he knows where it is. The second is a radius, if you can get to orbit anywhere around the planet Lacunus, if you can reach orbit, the seers have foretold
21 kilometers.
That the Vignar will, their future intersects yours if you can get to orbit. So you can either go to this place or you can go to space.
Just really high up.
Well, where's this place? Is it really high up?
I believe it is effectively a birthing graveyard for dragons, which I could lead us to, but it's mostly just in like dangerous blasted lands and not so much like it's difficult to get to in that it's dangerous, not that it's like necessarily like unreachable.
It's a little over 1,000 miles away.
I mean, I don't know if we have what it takes to go to space yet, so I guess it's better to stay on the surface. What?
Why can't we go to space?
Tell you what, Asena, you go first and I'll be right behind you.
Because we basically have to go, you're telling us we need to go about 64,000 miles straight up.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're telling us. We either go...
No, it's not that high up.
321 kilometers, you said?
Yeah.
So...
Oh, that's not far at all.
Oh, wait, about 200 miles, right?
Yeah. So you either go over 1,000 miles on planet or a relatively short jaunt into space.
As long as we can get what we need to go up there.
Right.
By the way, just for my own S's and G's, I didn't get to see your ping. Where is the Dragon Graveyard?
Let me zoom out so that chat can see it as well. You currently are, you know what? Chat will see this a lot better if I...
Behold.
This is the trip that you've taken so far. You traveled from the portal facility to this ambush right here. That's where Lynn and her troops ambushed. Then you were making your way to the Voski capital, and as you were making your way up through the mountains, you got attacked by the Throden Kothar, a bunch of dragons. But then you made it safely to the Voski capital, which is where you are now. The place that John wants to go, or at least one of your two options, is here, in this sort of you must never go there, Simba, sort of territory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's over 1,300 miles away.
I mean, we just went like 700 miles.
Oh, yeah. It's just a matter of having transportation.
Yeah. That wouldn't be difficult.
I guess not.
I mean, we've been hoofing it everywhere. So, taking a taxi, really hard. Taking an armored transport, that's not as bad.
I mean, even that got derailed, though.
Yes, it did.
I have to fix something because as awesome as Pods is, we are seeing her twice for some reason.
Oh.
You can see me twice?
Yeah.
Yep. Not your fault. It's something in the overlay.
You got way too excited about that.
Unfortunately, it replaced Beatdown
Me
instead
twice.
of me. So that's
His
the
best.
only sadness that we have.
Hey, I fixed it.
Yeah. Wait, you did? Yeah, you
Oh,
did.
yeah, you did.
We are professionals.
Yes.
All right. So,
Wait, real quick.
yes.
To answer chat, we have not given up on the wife option. Just putting that out there.
Can you
This is one of
summarize the
things-
wife option?
So the wife option is that we could very likely get ourselves another question in that they have done the math and the only thing that they really want to get more questions, unless we can figure out other ways to help, is that if we can bring Casimir Vosky, the prince of this nation's son, back. However, he's basically run off and joined the Mecha Circus and is a true knight of defense and doesn't want anything to do with his father's legacy. And we'd basically be kidnapping him if we tried to bring him back. However, if he was to have an actual heir other than his current son, then his line would be secured and he'd be super happy and would be happy to give us another question, very likely. Paz and I ended up figuring out that that the Seers have looked and there's nobody anywhere on this planet that would make a good option for him.
Also, last time, remember how you were asking a lot of questions about why don't they just look off-world?
Uh-huh.
It's because their futures get eaten and they shrivel into dust when they try that.
There you go. But what we found out, though, is that the Seers can only speak to what they can see, which their vision is not super limited, but there are places they can't see, i.e., it's possible, since they can't see the Vignar, that there might be a possible... there might be somebody among the Vignar that would make a suitable queenly companion or princessly companion for Prince Vosky. And we could kill two birds with one stone, basically, if we go to the Vignar and we get the tech we need and somehow go on some weird like matchmaker escapade. We could find a match for whoever wants to give up their armor could also choose to be the princess and ruler of Vosky with the current prince.
So,
and then we would get ourselves another question.
Either you figure out a way to unite him with this some random shadow assassin who may or may not be a good fit, or you wander the multiverse seeking to arrange a diplomatic marriage.
Exactly.
Wow.
And keep in mind, what that gets you is a second question that you can ask the Seers.
How important is this second question?
Well, it's not a matter of
Not
like,
really.
you know, I mean, it's helpful. It's definitely helpful. And here's the thing. It's even more helpful if we can get rid of the elder evil that is killing and shriveling up these Seers.
Small, minor detail.
You know, I mean, because then
Not
they can
to
extend their
worry.
reach beyond, you know, their actual immediate vicinity. But regardless, it's also doing a
Is
good
that how they
thing,
work?
you know?
Yeah, because whenever they try to reach, whenever their minds transgress the future in a way that intersects with the elder evil, they die. So if the elder evil was gone, they might be able to figure out what happened to the rest of their interstellar society, blah, blah, blah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
damn.
lots
We
of
have to
options.
kill giant space Cthulhu, don't we?
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, John hasn't really gotten around to this, but kind of the whole reason he's been questing, and if you guys want to continue going along with him after saving Florence Giotto, his entire quest is defeating an elder evil.
An elder evil or this elder evil?
No, and there's many elder evils, and so John is the person safeguarding the flesh of Kur, which we can get into that later, but it's a horribly disastrously powerful like proto dragon that if it was able to be reformed and brought back to this multiverse, it would eat everything.
Cool.
And it's unkillable.
No big deal.
So
That's it, eh?
the
It's
way that
unkillable.
John is dealing with it is that the heart, the egg, whatever you want to describe, the vessel that was supposed to bring forth its rebirth,
The
John-
flesh of Kur.
the flesh of Kur, John was able, with a lot of help, was able to shatter into various pieces. He's taken the shards of this flesh and he's been hiding and making deals and securing these different pieces across the multiverse, making it impossible, if not just incredibly difficult, to collect these pieces and then reform them back into the vessel with which to bring Kur into existence once more. That's his entire reason for questing.
So you're trying to reform this unkillable dragon.
No, the opposite. I have pieces of it and I'm placing them, I'm hiding them all across the multiverse to keep the denizens of, so the Pact Malefic, the group that was in charge of that obsidian tower that I told you guys about, that we're going to eventually make our way to, before their entire organization went kaputski, there were individuals that were on John's homeworld that were trying to bring this thing back. And John, with his upstart group of, from the society, from the Coriander Society, his group was able to somehow randomly put a stop to it through sheer dumb luck and a lot of really good rolls. And so, he made it his mission, since he couldn't find his way back home, to take this upon himself and hide these pieces across the multiverse. And one by one, lost all his close friends until only he remained, and then he met you guys. So
You know how in every single story the bad guy needs to collect the 13 talismans to unleash the ancient evil? We're at the beginning of that story where the 13 talismans are, he's in the process of hiding them in just awful places, scattering them around the universe. So it
See, I
can.
was ready to make a joke about how John is the evil guy collecting them all.
John is not evil, no matter how much you guys want to make him so. He's not.
He's the one leaving.
Wait,
He's
what?
leaving the surprises for the evil guy to go collect them all.
Exactly.
Ah, what a kind man.
You know, in a
Set up
weird way,
scavenger hunt.
in a weird way, this is like the multiversal version of like Journey to the West.
Huh. Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So, as some variation of this discussion is happening, you are in the antechamber to the place where the seers all exist around the edges of this torus, psychic energy linking them to the inner ring of the torus, which glows with an odd, wavering golden light. The seer just got annihilated by gazing beyond the veil of the Time Eater. And you know that the shadow tech you need to save Florence's life can be found if you either go to this location John has mentioned, or if you can find a way to get to space. And you don't have to stay there long, you just have to get there. Both of those are going to have their own challenges, and you are welcome to pursue either endeavor. Now, one other thing I want to get into before we go too much further is Beatdown. I want you to roll a science check, as you and Hara have been trying to get you read up to date on sci-fi, the technology of the Lacunian civilization.
Oh, yes, of course.
15. Okay. You are going to gain 300 research points
Jeez.
towards engineering.
What?
Yes. Which is enough to unlock the first level of discoveries. Now, obviously, you don't have to go through this process for anything you unlock through your class. The scientific discipline that your class unlocks is weird science. And so anything that's covered by the rules of your class, this doesn't apply to. You can always make those things. This is for studying and learning other advanced tech that you're not going to spend gadget points on, so on and so forth. So you are now able to create fusion age weapons and armor. That doesn't mean that you know how to build energy weapons. Although, again, through weird science, you can build some. But you know how to just build like the actual mechanical parts of more scientifically advanced weapons and armor. If you continue along this path, you'll research how to build vehicles, mechas, lots and lots of other stuff. Other areas that you can investigate include chemistry, which would be explosives and like better metamaterials, armor and such. Power sources, force fields. There's a lot of other research that you can do. But since you had a little time to do research, you've unlocked the first rank of engineering.
Cool.
And I'm happy to cover that down the line. So,
Pog.
that being covered, our heroes are assembled in the Voski capital. You were led under heavy guard to this Chamber of the Seers. You have asked your question. You have received your answer. It has taken a terrible cost upon the Voski people, which they are not going to shove down your throat or wave around in your face. This happens sometimes, and they owe the safety. They almost got nuked. They almost got nuked last time, and they did not get nuked because John and Hara saved them.
Yeah.
So they're going to deal with this in their own way. But that leaves you in this incredible sci-fi city full of flying cars with a choice. You have safety at last, so if there's any business you need to attend to, resources you need to gather, conversations you need to have, you are finally in a safe place to do so. But you also need to decide which of these paths you're going to follow, maybe do a little research, a little investigation. What would the party like to do?
Well, I don't think I can. I think it's safe to say I can't build spaceships yet
Why not?
because I don't
I thought
know
you could build
anything.
anything.
I've never claimed that.
Your brother was working on a spaceship.
Yeah, Even that was, he said it was given to him. I don't even think he knew how to make it.
So your brother knows how to make a spaceship, but not you.
Damn.
Why didn't we bring him?
Because you didn't like him when you met him.
What are you talking about? I
You
think
don't
I was
like-
the one that did like him.
You don't like anyone new.
Okay. I just, tried to get him not to destroy his spaceship or whatever.
Uh-huh. You meant trying to touch it without actually interacting with him.
I saved his life.
Uh-huh.
He was gonna get stuck in there and die.
Did you, though?
You know what?
I don't.
I think you just don't like that your brother can make a spaceship and you can't.
I think actually I can live with that information. Although it won't be true for long.
So you're gonna make us a spaceship?
Eventually.
We need it now.
Mm-hmm. No, yes, the goading is working so well.
Space now.
Like I said, you're free to go first. I'll be right behind you.
I don't know how to get there.
Oh, that's right.
John, how do we get to space?
Well,
Can you just zap us into space? Like, can you
Yeah.
just teleport us into space?
Wait,
I mean, if it
technically he
was-
could.
if it was that easy, likely not teleports. However, it would take a long time, and we would either start making checks, or we would need to make sure that we had some kind of vacuumous helmets to prevent air loss. But I could fly us up there. It would take some time, though, and it would take a lot of my resources.
Have you been running the math on how many spell points it would take you to fly all
I
the way
mean,
up there? Have
Are
you?
you asking me this as in, like, am I doing it, or like,
Like, you haven't talked for a while. You've been messing with stuff. I'm just wondering if you've been crunching the numbers.
I mean, I'm getting there.
So land trip.
So, with regards to going to space, there are nobody around the planet has been doing a lot of space travel, especially not like they've maybe launched a few satellites, but there's been no reason to send personnel into space when everything's happening on the ground. They were not left with enough technology to easily do interplanetary transit. And there were like some space stations and maybe some listening posts and stuff, mostly automated throughout the system. There weren't any staffed space stations in this solar system. And because they were cut off from everything and they got invaded by Vuelhar and just wrecked, they don't have their faster than light tech, and they don't have like hyper advanced spaceship engines. They've been knocked back too far to build that stuff. That being said, the faction that has the most satellites and has executed the most successful launches is the Exarchate.
Yeah, about that guy. No, I think we do land. We do land. What do you guys think?
The
Not you,
Exarchate could make
Asena.
us a spaceship.
No, not you.
Actually,
I take
John
it back.
just
I'm asking
realized-
John.
John just realized that he added a 1 where he shouldn't have.
He's doing the math sitting there just on his phone calculating.
Yeah, John realized that he, despite his great magical gifts, he does not have the number of spell points needed to fly us up into the atmosphere. We would need another option.
Another John. Maybe we could do it.
Even with John and Hara, we couldn't do it. No,
Yeah.
no.
Fair.
If there was a teleportation circle up there, John could easily get us up there.
Wait, here's a thought.
Mhm.
Hara can turn back into a dragon, right?
Well, I see where you're going with this.
Okay.
Is Hara here with us?
Unless you choose, this is a sort of a narrative space. You have the option of having this conversation with or without her.
I would very much like to have this conversation without her, to be honest.
Done. She is elsewhere.
Awesome.
Okay. So here's the thing. While it's very likely that Hara could return to her draconic form, I think there is a bit of a disconnect between who Akafisian was and who Hara currently is. And from where she had been as Hara the apprentice, the human sorceress, and then the young dragon, Akafisian, now she's somewhere in the middle where she understands what she was, understands what she is not, but that she's kind of become a bit of both. I think she's a little bit reluctant to attempt such a transformation and to assume her full heritage once more. She could be worried that the ramifications of doing such a thing would completely break down everything that she's come to know and possibly even love about herself. She could even, I don't want to get into what she may or not feel. All I know from the very brief interaction I had when I questioned her recently about it is that it's kind of off the table until she has no other choice. So I think if we have other options, she would likely prefer not to.
You're saying force her into becoming a dragon.
I am saying not that at all. I'm saying the opposite of that.
Oh,
I'm saying let's literally go through any other option we have, which is considerable. We have people who owe us favors. So
yeah,
we could get a transport up to the heavens. Also, much easier. I could, or we could get again a transport to take us down to the shadow pits. And at that point, again, distance-wise, it's a lot farther. But in terms of like attainability, might be a bit easier.
feasibility. Wait. Okay. I think that is fine, but also I'm like minorly concerned that Hara's whole thing with her dragon heritage is fuck it till I need it. And imagine that goes really badly when we need it. I mean, whatever. That's a conversation for her.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into this.
So here's what I am thinking though. This is a possibility.
Okay.
What if there's four of us. We have a very powerful mage / almost dragon. We have another powerful mage / techie. We have an inventor / techie / investigator, and we have a kick butt, shotgun wielding, whip wielding, magic force puncher. What I'm getting at is that we have a very powerful group of people that we ourselves are a part of. What if we had decided to split into two teams and approach both options? We'd be able to send a team in order to investigate the shadow pits, see what there is to discover there, and we could send a team up into the heavens. And these are just possibilities these years gave us. There wasn't a guarantee that this is going to lead to success. And considering Florence is on quite a timetable, if we divide it, we may be able to guarantee that by pursuing both of these options, we would have what we need in order to successfully locate the Vignar. Especially if we get puzzles from each, like little bits of information to lead to our ultimate goal.
Yeah, true. Okay, I think that is actually a really good idea. I only have one request.
Yeah.
Send Asena to space and let me go to the shadow pits.
I don't see why that wouldn't be impossible.
Great.
So I was thinking, since I am the only one of us who's actually been to the shadow pits, I was thinking that possibly the two of you and Hara could go to space and I could venture to the shadow pits.
By yourself?
Well, I figured I could take a contingent of mecha-knights with me as a retainer to make sure that if something horrible would befall me, I have, some strapping dragon slayers to help keep me safe. If you really want to go to the shadow pits, you absolutely could. Just I want to give you a slight amount of background. When I had gone there, what is now known, or what I call the shadow pits of, let me pronounce this correctly, Drir Gak Aduarte. Drir Gak Aduarte was a very powerful blue dragon that had mastery over shadow magic. This dragon was in its twilight years, or just about to be. It was so old that it was nearing its end. And when a dragon nears its end, it gets incredibly powerful magic. It also becomes, compared to other dragon standards, extremely frail, which is why I was able to, with some help, construct an enormous handheld railgun and infuse it with magic and kill this thing with one enormous round of fire. but it almost killed me in the process. When I slew it, I figured that this immensely powerful being on the threshold of death would make an excellent warden for the flesh of Kur. And so I made a bargain with the beast in its dying death throes. It was both fascinated by the prospect of its death, but also it had been alive so long, it didn't necessarily want to just fully die. It didn't know what was going to happen once it fully died. So I made a bargain where I had it accept the flesh of Kur into its body, and the dragon ended up basically becoming a breeding ground. For the deal I made in order for it to accept this was for that it would become a very powerful foci, a place where dragons could be born incredibly powerful.
Mhm.
But also, it's hard to explain. Effectively, the reason I made this deal is that I knew I had very powerful friends who were also dragon slayers, and so unbeknownst to the beast, it believed that I was having it take charge of guarding a piece of the flesh of Kur, not allowing it to fall into the hands of any that would come to claim it, in exchange for providing the Ulhar powerful dragons with which to use against taking over the world. Unbeknownst to this dragon, I had already allied myself with some very powerful dragon slayers, and once the deed was done, I explained that to them and charged one of the most powerful dragon slayers on this world with ensuring that every year when these dragons would be born, it would go to the shadow pits and slay any wormling dragons that were born from it. So it's not a safe place, is what I'm getting at.
How did he do it? Is there like some dragon killing sword?
This is a long story. So he, oh gosh,
I mean,
he's an
you could
extremely
just say
powerful
no.
knight. No. I mean, he's basically a saint. This character, his name in this world is different. Gawargis is what they call him. He used to be the leader of the Red Cross Knights, which is a faction that a nomadic group of dragon slayers that roam the lands of Lacunus. They assist where they can. Their main job or interest is to keep the Ulhar from dominating and destroying this world, or rather, not destroying, just taking over it. Gawargis used to be the leader of this group until I charged him with this task, in which during our final, most recent battle, he faked his own death in order to promote his squire to being the new leader of this group. And now it's his charge to watch over these shadow pits and destroy what comes out. He's extremely powerful, mostly because he's a saint from my world. I don't know how he got here. But long story short, he was a knight from ancient times, and he was one of the first true great dragon slayers in the histories, or rather fantasies of my world. But there's this weird thing where stories and history kind of merge in a weird way that the Coriander Society tries to keep a lid on and make sure it doesn't spill over into the civilized normal folks, modernized times. Look, magic and science and all that doesn't mingle where I come from, at least not out in the open. And he was a mythic but also historic figure that served a fairy queen, was charged with destroying dragons wherever she designed for him to go, and he somehow found his way here many years ago and took
Is
it
he a
upon
problem?
himself. He's the opposite of a problem.
Oh, that's good.
He's effectively a holy warrior of God, but if you take away the super incredible God-loving part of it and just had him serve a fairy queen, and he's in love with a woman that he's probably never going to see again. His God is honor, truth. He's basically Captain America, like if that makes sense. Like he's
It
the
does
best.
not. They're not from. They don't
He's the
understand
best
the
a
reference.
person could be. This is Matt. I'm fully aware of that. John just blows right through. He's the best a person could be in many facets of the word. And no, I do not believe that he would be a problem. Except that he is a part of the Coriander Society, and I don't know how they're doing right now. I don't see why that would be an issue.
Okay,
You
I will
can,
go
like-
space.
You can tell from Asena's face that she stopped listening like a long time ago.
John gives her a TLDR, like just a super quick, like, this place dangerous. There's a cool guy there. There's really dangerous dragon stuff. Also, mystery in the sky. And we could split up if you guys are cool with it.
She just shrugs.
Yeah. I'm convinced.
So with that knowledge, do you still want to go to the Shadow Pits, Gastone?
Oh yeah, sure.
And Asena, how about you?
I'm going to space.
You want to go to space? Okay, perfect. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so in that regard, if we are going to split up, especially if we're taking the newest multiversal travelers and splitting them up, I think that Hara and I should also split up and tag along with each one of you. So without playing favorites, who do you think should accompany each one of your two groups?
Hara, unless you invited her back in, is still not part of this conversation.
Oh, I think it's fair to say Hara can be back as soon as the conversation's not about her. And
John
whether
sends
or
a
not
message
she
to
wants be a
Hara.
dragon.
Yeah, so John sends a
We're
message
done
to Hara.
talking about you. You could come back.
Yeah, basically. Although I'm actually going to ask her the same question because why not? Just full send.
All right. Hara comes back in. She's putting her.
Where are we, by the way? Are we like resting?
Where do
in
you
our
want to be?
quarters?
Where do you want to be? You're inside the Vosky city. What sort of you could be in palatial areas. You could be inside of a well-kept like guard of the palace. You could be in a bar somewhere watching the latest like hover racing markers go up and down. You could be at the opera. The Vosky love the opera. Did you like an AR opera?
John would have preferred, if you guys were okay with it, going to a research center or library to collect tomes and knowledge in order to kind of make sense of what they had saw. John would have been incessantly doing everything he could to find out about that being beyond the stars until his research turned up nothing. Although John is an excellent researcher, so if there was a place in the area that would have information about it, he'd be able to find it.
Okay,
Due to
let's
his background.
give me an investigation check or a different check of some kind that's relevant to that. And a lot of you are in a research center. So while the Vosky do have this sort of Art Deco,
Natural 20 for a 33.
why does this happen to me? The Vosky do have this very Baroque sensibility where everything is incredibly stylized and decorated, but it is also high tech. So their library has all the trappings of a huge library with stacks and stuff like that. But it's not like they had books. It used to be a research planet, you know? They didn't exactly bring old tomes with them. Everything's been digital records since before they arrived here. So it is all digital, just done up a little bit like the Jedi Library.
Yeah,
from
no,
Star Wars.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So John's been going through and just like cycling through the holographic interface. He received some glasses last time from chat that allow him to see the computer interface. So he's just standing there swiping in midair is what it looks like as he's cycling.
Doing the Spark hologram thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming while we were all kind of grouped up, John had probably sent Hara off while they wanted to talk about her behind her back to go look for some tomes and stuff. And
Hara had her own thing that she was doing. She wanted to get her
then she had
machine
her own thing.
pistols checked, make sure that
then
they're
there you
all
go.
properly maintained and such. She has her own business.
Well, then never mind. And I guess she won't be here for the conversation.
Oh, you can still message her. She'll just show up.
Oh, well, I don't have a message that goes beyond 120 feet unless we're sending like a text message. I can send her a text message if that's possible here.
Yeah, you can.
And
You
I
have
will send
service
her
here.
that.
She has a
Perfect, and
phone, so.
And I send her a message.
All right. So with a 33, a natural 20, and you got a 33, the Vosky are not fully aware of the nature of the entity, but they are aware of its existence. This place was a research facility 200 years ago, local, without the 10,000 year time skip. For them, it was 200 years ago. They had successfully established a colony on the other side. They were doing research. They were building stuff on the other side. Their temporal research facility was even more secretive. It was even more kept on lockdown. And they were experimenting with tachyon singularities, which was their method for trying to mess with time, cause time to flow in the wrong direction, essentially. Either project into the future or even look back on the past. And they were intrigued by an alternative, which was instead of going with the flow of time or against the flow of time, what if they just went in another direction entirely? Just sort of lateral instead of in parallel. They went perpendicular. And because the flow of time is so strong, you can slow it or you can accelerate it, but they weren't having any luck with reversing it. And so they built up a huge amount of energy for that push, and they fired the experiment. And the original research facility for the temporal portal is what is now the Exarch hub, the core of the Exarch base.
Oh, great.
That is ground zero for the temporal experiment.
Okay.
Very cool.
So you've discovered that part. And what else? They've also been aware of the fact that the rest of the galaxy has moved. When they've done astronomy, they're aware of the fact that the rest of the galaxy has sort of drifted, and it matches up with a 10,000 year time gap.
Gotcha.
And they've also been tracking the fact that whenever their seers try to look out outside of the time bubble, essentially, that they were trapped in for that long, or make contact with the rest of the universe, is when they get killed. So they are aware that there's some sort of a phenomenon surrounding them. They've seen images of floating green compound eyes. Like right before the seers die, their mental recorders track that, just like glowing, almost gaseous green compound eyes popping up from all sorts of different directions. They also believe that the rest of the galaxy is dead. At
Like
least,
the one they came from?
yes, they believe that the rest, it's not just that they were stuck in time for 10,000 years. They believe while they were stuck in time and the rest of the galaxy wasn't,
That thing ate the rest of the galaxy.
or at least it ate everything
Connected
within
to their hub.
a good radius. It ate enough of the surrounding area that they're isolated now.
Okay.
The galaxy used to run on a substance called sorium, which was the source of their psychic abilities.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Did they have psychic abilities before their interaction with Sorium?
no.
Oh.
And,
Do
but
they
it,
still have Sorium, or is that like gone?
they have like a small cache
So
remaining.
you're saying if we got some of that, we might be able to get somebody some psychic ability.
Each of the three principalities is sitting on a trove of sorium. That's sort of what sets them apart. It's actually
Now-
what you saw when you were amongst the seers. That big ring that they were all dialed into was a ring of sorium that allowed them to channel and merge their powers.
Now, is the Sorium, like the material, does it act like a radiation where as long as you're near the Sorium,
Mhm.
it has an effect on you, or do you have to interact with or consume in some way the Sorium?
Everybody undergoes their espergenesis in a different way. The original bloodlines were sort of artificially exposed to it, but others will sometimes, their abilities will emerge randomly after exposure, or even if there's a sufficient exposure several generations ago, it goes a few generations down and it kicks from there.
But once you've been exposed, your line could technically you have it. You don't have to keep getting exposed.
Right.
And does it use it, or like if they have a small cache, can they keep using that to keep their society going as it is?
Yeah.
Like
They can use that to keep their society going. But it is in limited amounts. It's not like they're burning through it. It's not like a fuel that they're burning. It's that the more of it you have, the bigger stuff you can do. And if you do something like make a bomb out of it, that's going to use it up.
Yeah, they're trying not to actually use it. They're just keeping it to keep the way
The
things are
reason
going.
that this came up in your research is because one of the key things that the principalities, the Voski and the others care about, is if they make contact with anything that's still out there, they need to find the Sorium forges, which is where this stuff grows.
Yeah.
And they are worried that the chronophage may have eaten them. At
Eating
least,
the Sorium?
yes. The
Oh, it
forges.
just ate time.
Yeah, well, Sorium exists in time. So,
Goodness.
you
Okay.
know,
Interesting.
they have no idea what the consequences of that might be. But they don't have a lot of information on it. All they know is that it exists on a temporal level and that coming into contact with it is fatal.
Coming in contact with the Sorium or with the entity?
With the entity, the chronophage,
Okay.
the time eater. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But they also
Now,
know
maybe I
again that the Exarch hub is built on the place where it was when the door first opened.
Gotcha. Okay. So not even that center pylon where we came from.
Right. That was the dimensional portal hub.
Oh, okay. Mate, secondarily, it says that for my Hallowed Halls feature, that's, whenever you need information, subject, expertise, etc., you know who to talk to, find the right books, databases, etc.
Mhm.
This was all really good information, but I was specifically, like, I know that my research kind of led me along this path, but I'm looking for information specifically on this entity, this Elder Evil that I think it is. Do I believe that the Obsidian Tower would have information on
Yes.
such a thing? Okay.
Yes.
Is there anywhere else that I might know of that might have that kind of information, or is it probably just there?
The city below the waves on Quelia.
Okay. Not like somewhere like the libraries of Perianth, they might not have something like this. You don't think?
No. They're not old enough. This is elder lore. This is
Gotcha.
weird stuff. And now that you're aware that the Exarchs built their house on the place where the original experiment occurred, that's another place that might know more.
That's an option as well. Okay. Good to know. Well, I sent a message to Hara,
Mhm.
and
All right,
when she arrives, we can
Hara
figure out-
rolls back and she's got some gear that she brought with her. She sets it down like in a box, just stuff that she's been obtaining from the folks here from the Voski, and she starts passing out to each of you. This is a radio. It's like a radio, except it's much better. You should each have one of these. They're all keyed to the same channel so that we can stay in contact with each other at long range.
like earbud comms.
Yeah, earbud comms.
Oh, all right.
Asena, you should test yours out before we go.
Why me?
Because these two mess with this sort of thing all the time. And I'm sure that you're capable of instantly mastering this, but you deal with this sort of equipment less than they do.
That's fair. So, what?
Stick it in your... Oh, you know what? Let me do it. She gestures for permission and waits before shoving something in the ear of the martial artist who can like throw people across rooms.
Okay, you could do it. She's just gonna like hold her arms out and stay still.
All right. She goes ahead and she taps it into your ear, and then she takes the second part. This is a signal booster. These are for local, up to a few miles. This is going to allow it to go for much longer distance, especially if we have a ship of some kind or transport with its own communication. Wear this on your belt.
Okay.
And then she taps right behind her ear and just barely whispers, and you can hear her coming in nice and clear as she says, Asena, can you hear me?
Oh my gosh, you're in my head.
Yes.
It's kind of like what Rosamond did, but like only on one side.
Right. That's because that was psychic communication, and this is just sound waves traveling along your jawbone.
Okay, so you're not in my brain.
I'm not in your brain. I'm in your jawbone.
Okay. I'm okay with this.
All
Wait,
right.
so how do I talk to you on the... And
She-
she like tries to touch her.
Yeah, it takes you a couple of places until you hit the right point. And then you're able to speak.
Am I in your jawbone?
Yes, you don't need to speak that loudly. When we're using these, you can be very quiet, and we'll hear each other
I'm
just fine.
In your jawbone.
Yes.
Well, that's neat.
This way, if we get separated, we can still talk.
Oh, this is like what John does with Chester.
Yeah, kind of. Except I'm not in his jawbone. But I mean,
And
everything
also,
else tracks.
Chester can't talk to us.
I mean,
Meowing isn't talking, John.
okay.
Chester talks to us.
Chester talks to you because you can do that weird animal thing.
Oh, that must suck for you.
A little. But we're working on that.
Frankly, sometimes it's better not to be able to hear cats talk.
That's probably true.
John thanks
And the
Hara
squirrels.
earnestly for the collection of this radio comm system.
She has a few other things that she's sorting through, but she's eager to hear what your progress has been, what's going on.
Miss Hara, will these work in space?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. That's all.
Unless the others have something they want to hide, John's going to catch Hara up on everything they found about the Elder Evil and the plans they've made.
No, that's fine.
Well, a giant time-eating abomination should hopefully not have too much to do with this little errand of ours.
No, that's a future us problem, certainly. If we choose to make it our problem. Which I usually do.
So, you're thinking of dividing us up.
I mean, I think it only makes sense. We have two possible leads and a window that's growing shorter with every passing day for Florence.
How are you thinking of splitting? She's addressing this to all three of you, by the way.
Well, Hara volunteered, or rather, Gastone volunteered to go to Drirgok's Shadow Pits, whereas Asena is looking forward to heading into space. So I was thinking you and I could split up and join each of them on these respective missions. Did you have a preference? Personally, I was thinking, considering both you and Asena are physical powerhouses, and much like myself, you have access to powerful magics, it might make sense for you to go with Gastone, considering we would be splitting up our powerful strength-based fighters, and you'd also be able to support Gastone with access to magic, and I'd be able to support Asena with my access to magic, and she could use her muscles to make sure that I don't get too creamed or popped if the stakes come to it.
You want me to go have a parlay with the man whose honorary title is the Dragon Slayer?
My other possible idea was that we play to our strengths, and if we keep the powerhouses together, send the two dragon lovers to space, then Gastone and I, being of sound magic and technology, would be able to,
find a way through it.
Exactly.
Wait, so does this guy only kill? Does he just automatically kill dragons? Is this some kind of seething hatred?
I mean, Hara's met Gorgas before. It's not like St. George kills on sight, but also at the time, I don't think St. George knew what Hara was.
She casts a look at you, doubtful.
It's been a while.
I just get the feeling that he knows much, much more than he lets on, and I'd prefer not to deal with him.
That's perfect, yeah.
Being said, it seems as though Gastone's strengths lend them more to the technical challenge rather than the going into a pit full of void-tainted dragon spawn.
Normally that would be true, but despite the studying I've done thus far, space travel is still well beyond me. So I don't know how much I can actually contribute.
Well, you have the mind for it. It's simply a matter of building up the fundamentals.
Also, I think Asena really wants to go to space.
Yeah, he has been a touch enthused about it. Just a touch.
All right, so we'll come up with a plan to achieve orbit, and the two of you will secure transport and go to the Shadow Pits.
Does that sound fine to the both of you?
Yeah.
I don't think that Asena would have a problem bunking with Hara.
Or going to space.
I get both dragons and space.
Perfectly happy. 100%
So
happy.
then we'll split up our forces, and 1-2 will go to the Shadow Pits, and Punch Plus can head to space.
Oh, plus. All right.
Well, I mean, you could be Punch if you want, but do you have a better idea? I was thinking like Super Punch.
Not concerned about it. All right. I'll requisition some more supplies and come up with a plan of action. Anything else?
Could just be 1-2 punch dragon. That's not bad. Punch dragon.
She looks, as John continues to talk, she looks at Gastone and Asena. Anything else?
No. I think we're good.
All right. I'll start researching how to achieve orbits. And she's going to start parsing through the library herself.
Before she leaves, John's going to confirm if the comm system that we have is just between the four of us, or are we able to tune these frequencies into other chat channels?
We're currently on a local channel, but it is compatible with other technology as well. You should be able to scan. If you have a scanner, you can scan for different radio frequencies, and you should be able to communicate with any Voski forces that you roll out with.
Perfect. Great. Thank you very much. John's going to find out. Did she give us a scanner along with this, or would John need to go acquire one?
You'd need to go acquire one.
John would like to go acquire one, or see if Gastone could just make one.
Gastone can make what?
A scanner to kind of pick up the different signals on both local and distance channels.
By what kind of signals?
Hyper sophisticated super radio, neutron wavelength.
I'm assuming this still goes off of AM and FM to a certain degree, right?
I mean, the local ones do, yeah. I guess they wouldn't need interstellar tech just to call, on your cell phone. Yeah, it's still AM, FM. Standard radio. And that tech exists in Northport. This is just a more refined version of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although probably just barely in Northport. That's like playing with AM and FM signals was like a 50s thing.
Good golly!
Yeah.
So wait, you wanted me to make a receiver?
Well, yeah, if you could find a way to basically pick up different channels so we could be able to identify who it is we're trying to speak to. I could probably just go buy one or steal one, but I didn't know if you wanted to flex on what you've been recently learning about.
Wait, so just so I understand this, you want to see who we're speaking to? Because I don't think all I could really give you is a sort of like number.
Yeah, I'm looking for a TV guide, basically. I want channels, so that way we could see what the different options
like
are.
a police scanner when you're just, spinning through to see who's talking.
Exactly.
Yeah, but even those aren't labeled.
Mm-hmm.
So even at the best of times, something like that won't actually give you like names. I can pick up other signals, but I couldn't tell you who's talking.
Basically, what I want to do is be able to channel surf and start figuring out who goes on what channels. We could make our own directory of who seems to.
You want to intercept local signals.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I think I can do that. No, can I do that?
Yeah, and I don't think you don't need to create a whole new gadget for that unless you can automatically succeed if you're gonna like take apart one of your gadgets or spend gadget points on it. Otherwise, you're just gonna need to spend like a day or two building the damn thing.
I will use my watch.
All right. You've now managed to reconfigure it, and so you can hook it up to the power pack for your comm link, and then you can scan local channels.
I have a question.
Yes.
Now that we have these linkable comm radio headsets,
Mm-hmm.
I have a program power called Signal Boost, where I'm able to target a machine that I can see,
Mm-hmm.
and if it doesn't have wireless capabilities, I can give it a radius of wired capabilities for a certain amount of time. Would I be able to just like basically find someone's blender and then like talk through it?
No, because the blender doesn't have a speaker. You could turn it into, you could control the blender. But if the blender doesn't have a built-in, like it gains wireless, but that doesn't mean it gains audio. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The machine
but
becomes
if it did have audio, then I could.
Yeah, you could hack into somebody's,
A toy or something.
or their music system or their car or whatever, and you could talk through that.
Okay, interesting. Nice.
All right. Asena. Hara is going to start collecting all sorts of different pieces of equipment. and she's just setting things down. She's got a big old, like a big metal crate, and she's just putting stuff in it, loading it up left and right. While the boys prepare for their trip, you know, they're dismantling the watch, collecting additional supplies. So, do you have any ideas?
Ideas on what?
Oh, just going to space.
Like how to get there?
Mm-hmm.
We have to go up.
Correct. And the higher, it takes a lot of energy to go that far up.
How about an explosion?
Okay, that is how rockets work.
Oh.
Yeah. The problem is surviving it. And also getting a big enough explosion that doesn't blow you up, doesn't blow the city up, but gets you all the way up to space. So you're on the right track.
So we need something that can survive an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I got nothing.
All right. Just thought I'd ask first.
Nate, don't they have like shuttles that can, you know, we're in a big old flying machine.
That is a atmosphere craft. That is strictly an atmo craft.
Okay.
Ooh, I have an idea.
Yes.
The Exarchate can go to space.
Yes.
Maybe we jump on one of their space vehicles and just hitch a ride. And then if they catch us, we could just say we were kidnapped. Or something.
That wouldn't be a lie. That wouldn't be a lie. Lynn could probably help us with that. Their launch facilities are going to be well hidden. Or not well hidden, it's hard to hide a space launch. They're going to be deep inside their territory, past lots and lots of their defenses. For us to reach that without being detected, we would need Lynn's help. But it might be worth it and it might be doable. That's a good idea. Anything else?
What do you think the chances are of them going to space anytime soon?
No idea. It's still not a bad idea. It would just take us a little bit of research, and we'd have to hope that they have a launch scheduled sometime soon, or that we can force their hand somehow.
I mean, yeah, if we could go there and hitch a ride, but if they don't have any flights, maybe we just steal it and fly ourselves. That's more dangerous.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of variables. Atmospheric re-entry. Technically, we can survive a fall of nearly any height. It's just the problem of not having air or traveling so fast that we're burning up and exploding. And also not being near a mountain. You need to be near something in order to fall safely. You have to be able to...
Oh. Is there like a canyon? We can land in a canyon.
Yeah, not one that goes all the way up to space.
Oh.
But the plan of finding an Exarchate launch facility, sneaking in, taking one of their launches, that's a good one. I'll start working on that.
Cool.
All right. Is there anything else that Asena wants to do while Hara's looking into that possibility?
She Asena wants to like contribute to this packing of all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's gonna get her ray gun and just put the ray gun in the box.
Awesome. All right, I like it. It looks like there's a couple of other guns. They all look pretty weird. They don't look like guns from your home world, and they look a little bit closer to the ray gun, but maybe a little bit chunkier, a little bit more mechanical. There's some sort of a backpack and there's some gas masks. You recognize those. But there's two things that look kind of like guns in there. Ray gun added.
I
And
like
also, this
physics.
research is going to take Hara some time. So Asena's going to need to figure out something that she can do during that time while she's waiting.
Hmm.
Any ideas?
No.
What would Asena do if she was like in this super fancy city, kind of far away from nature, completely out of her element? All these computers, all this research going on, all these fancy dressed people. How would she react to that? What would she do about it? Like, how would she feel?
Well, I think she'd probably just like touch everything.
Just walk around poking stuff.
Yeah. Like any computers that she found, she's probably just like touching everything and looking at it all.
Okay. Give me an intelligence check. Just a flat intelligence check, because you're definitely not proficient in this. 15.
15.
Okay. A lot of the computer interfaces, they're not AIs like the Exarchate, but they have sort of a digital assistant layered on top of them.
Oh no.
So you're poking at it, you're just sort of pressing buttons and stuff like that. And you've managed to pull up a 3D map of the city.
Okay.
And it's holographic, so you can kind of like spin it, move it around with your hands.
Ooh. Yeah, she's just gonna like poke everything that she can.
Mm-hmm. All right. Miraculously, you don't seem to have destroyed anything. John and Gastone, how are you making ready for your trip to the Shadow Pits?
Aside from finishing the device John asked for,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is very much that. How much else I can really do to prepare myself?
Mm-hmm.
What did you say I learned today?
You
the
have
session started?
rank 1 engineering. So you've learned how to make advanced fusion tech level weapons and armor. Now, again, you don't know how to make laser guns or other energy weapons without using your own weird science, but you could build like rifles and firearms that make sense to you, that are still like firearms, but they're the more sophisticated, better materials, better construction. You could also build armor, not full-fledged. We're not talking like power armor here, but we are talking like carbon plates and absorbent metamaterials and stuff like that.
Okay.
Using a lot of the tech that you already have, you figured out how to make. You could build full covering armor. It just won't be Spartan armor that actually makes you stronger or has energy shields. You just know advanced construction techniques, so you can build higher tech armor now.
But does that mean I can also build? Does that also mean I can improve my exosuit?
What improvements do you have in mind?
I would just to make it stronger. To be honest, use better material, better understanding of, I guess, engineering as a whole.
Let's take a look at this. While I'm taking a look at this, is there any other prep that John is working on?
Well, a couple questions / ideas. Yes. First of all, would it be within the purview of the Voski to just lend us a transport to get us there?
Yeah, they can deal that. They can do that.
Because that would take care of a very easy thing. Also, just because even though I'm not in that group, does the Voski have any way of doing interstellar or at least low altitude flight, or low atmosphere flight rather?
They'd have to actually breach Atmo. They have to get like it would be like a saber fighter that would actually exit the atmosphere and re-enter. No, they don't currently have those capabilities. Like they have the tech, but they haven't built those because it hasn't been practical. It's not something that, and it would take a ton of resources, right?
How far up can they go with what they currently have?
How high up can like a Blackbird go?
I'm not sure. Let's see.
$90,000 feet. So 90,000 feet to km. 27 kilometers.
7?
27.
27, as opposed to the 321 that we need.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. None of them have ever tried. How the heck did the Vignar get into space? What in the hell? Or at least their paths are crossing with us in space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So they can get us what? A tenth of the way, basically?
Honestly, they have science fiction version of like the Blackbird was what, Cold War tech?
Uh-huh.
So they can probably triple that. They can probably get you up like 100 kilometers, I'd say.
Which would still be like a little bit less than a third of the way.
Yeah, it's a little more.
No, it is. I'm just wondering if they'd be able to get us like, you know how like with a rocket you go in stages. I'm wondering if we have them get us that high, and then we could figure out a way to go higher than that. You know,
Right.
I have some ideas using a lot of magic and fuckery, but that would put me on a different team, and you know. Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll just borrow it unless my other idea was to have John approach Gastone and, hey, how do you feel about building a vehicle that we can roam around these parts in without cashing in favors and asking for help?
Are you in a hurry?
I mean, we're a little bit in a hurry, but I'm kind of wondering, let's say, for instance, we go to, a junkyard, like whatever the, equivalent of like, old, not really used, out of date tech would be here. We find something that then you could spend an evening or two on. I could help. And you and I could both magically and, mechanically outfit a hunk of junk and make it, the little engine that could, but make it actually something pretty awesome.
I mean, assuming a place like that exists here and enough of what we need is actually there and I'm actually able to do it. I don't know, a day or two, 3 gnomes, thoughts?
It depends on what.
Let's assume everything is there at this magical lucky junkyard. just humor me.
Well, chat's given out 2 treasures, and if you have inspiration to spend, you could probably get something working within a day if you happen to come across an almost entirely functioning wreck that for some reason hasn't been.
Well, here's my secondary idea. What if we asked Vosky if he has any outdated or not often used vehicles, instead of asking for his help all the time, if he could gift it to us for all of our assistance, and then we could take this Volkswagen and soup it up to being a transport vehicle,
Well, how long are you planning on sticking around?
Well, the whole point of this plan is to try and be as quick as we can to get this stuff and get back to Florence. We don't know how much time she has. So I would assume not a whole lot, but we're coming up with plans anyway to get out there. And I'm thinking getting us our own transportation might not be a bad thing,
True.
Although we've seen how long vehicles last in Lacunus, so
Once they start shooting railguns and stuff at you, yeah.
Let's table that for now. If we decide that we want to adventure in this world, we can look about getting our own base and stuff set up. Until then, we could just borrow a transport. That's not a problem.
Okay.
We're
going to do a couple of things right now. First off, I'm going to have John roll a persuasion check. In terms of they definitely owe you. The persuasion check is just going to modify like the degree to which they are going to outfit you. A 14.
I would like to use one of my deduction dice with that.
Go ahead and spend that.
Please. That should be at a 4, not an 11. Okay, here we go. And can I just click it and then it'll roll it for me? Or how does...
You might have to...
There we go. No,
hey, nice. Okay, 16 total.
Yeah.
All right. They will either send you on a gunship with a full, art team of Vosky soldiers operating it to transport you to and from and provide fire support while you're on the ground. That won't be you knowing the layout of the shadow pits, John. That won't do you any good once you get inside, but it would at least cover you going there and back again. Yeah. They would either do that or they would lend you the use of a smaller craft. But if you don't want an escort, if you want to be alone, They would just say, okay, here's the keys to the car. It's armored, it's fast, it's not like a big old gunship, but it'd be like a fast armed hover vehicle.
Gaston, what's your preference? I kind of think that getting a retinue to get us there safely sounds like the better option. But if you'd like us to be alone, we could take the car.
I don't know. Is this a place you want other people to know about? I kind of got the impression that it was a secret.
I mean, it's less a secret and more so I haven't talked about it, so I'm not going around like advertising.
Do you
this
want
place.
to keep it that way, or?
Well, if they're just gonna wait outside, I mean, they know that they're taking us to a mountainous area, and then we, park them a little ways away and say, "Hey, stay here. We'll be back." And if we hike the rest of the way, they'll have a general idea of where something is. Certainly, I'm mostly thinking that from where we are, which is up on the mountains, back into the mountains. If we're driving, this is going to be quite a perilous adventure getting to and from these mountains in a car. Unless they're lending us like a small ship. Are they lending us?
Yeah, it's a
car?
hover vehicle.
Oh, it's a hover vehicle. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, if it can hover, then yeah, let's get a little Star Wars car and get out of here.
I mean, it can only give you a maximum altitude of about 1 kilometer above the ground.
But I mean, enough to where I could traverse mountains, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then I think, yeah, let's go ahead and just go. We won't take the retinue. Let's just take the car. Keep this place at least somewhat secret.
Does that sound good to you, Gastone?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
I think Gastone and I will spend some time going over the vehicle, making sure that any tracker that may be on there, we're gonna disable.
All right. We'll get back to that in a moment. Meanwhile, Asena, as you're poking around with computer systems and such, Hara, she like leaves the area, comes back with some supplies, leaves the area again. Lots and lots of energy and very focused, back and forth. She finally stops after hours have gone by. Has Asena just been messing with computer systems and poking stuff basically the whole time?
Yeah.
She does that thing where she thinks she found a video game, but it's not actually a video game. It's just an interactive system. And she's just like, look, I got to try to make all the dots go into the place. And meanwhile, some file is just getting deleted and restored and deleted and restored and deleted and restored over and over again. And
I think like after hours of this, she'll ask Clara, "Hey, do you need any help with anything?"
Hara will sit down, close the program, like the 50 tabs that she has open, as she's been communicating with Lynn, figuring out, getting some intel on possible launch trajectory, negotiating with the rebels for assistance on this and all this. She says, yes. I want you to tell me everything you know about, and she points at the dragon tooth around your neck. That. And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to think of your answer because we're going to a break.
Hey.
We'll be back, folks.